Okay, we'll get started today. Welcome to today's weekly town hall meeting, April 24th, 2023. Today's agenda, project and development updates, documentation updates, and collaboration. Robinson, please start us off with project and development updates.
Thank you. So, as usual, let's start with the product updates. To begin with, the first update is on the Peerplays legacy code base. I think the most important aspect is the Bitcoin verification which we are planning to do. That is kind of still stuck, or rather, we are blocked. The syncing of the chain with our data center nodes is taking too long, and surprisingly, syncing on to multiple desktops have taken 2 or 3 days. So now we're trying to look at other options like setting up in different data centers, etc., to complete testing. So this was the major item that is verifying the Bitcoin functionality with Bitcoin mainnet, but unfortunately that's taking it has taken too long already. Like it's around a month since we are working on it, and the status is still blocked. But we've managed to complete other aspects, like we're working on introducing more test cases that has been completed. This is like Python-based test cases, which we are not able to perform otherwise. That has been completed. Uh, and since we're verifying some of these new functionality, especially the Ethereum functionality from the Nexus UI side, we were able to find some bugs also. In the previous week, we identified a problem with the way we are handling the Ethereum addresses in the Ethereum sense. So that was addressed. And in addition to that, the QA is also finding smaller bugs, where primarily multiple crashes, etc. So while we're waiting for this Bitcoin, we are addressing these aspects. And on the Bitcoin, I hope as soon as we get hands on a different server, we should be able to sort it out within a couple of days. So that's on the legacy code base, and I think I'll also combine the Nexus update along with it. So as I said, for the next, the only pending item is introduction of ETH Sun functionality, and the initial implementation had some differences from what is expected. So those changes were made, and now QA is working on it. So what's happening is we are using the Sepolia testnet. So we're mining these test tokens on Sepolia testnet and using them. So that's only update on the next, and generally it's looking good. So as soon as the mainnet release is primed, we should be able to get next also released. On the Peerplays 2 R&D, the current status is that we had provided an early build which had combined, or rather, we found a way to combine the substrate style addresses and the Ethereum style addresses, so that we can use the same key to handle both. And after that, we were verifying its functionality, but it looks like we have some bugs. And what's now happening is the deployment of the contracts are failing, and we're looking into that particular bug. In addition to that, another major effort is to upgrade our substrate version. This change was required primarily so that we can bring in some changes from some other contributing projects. So as I said, we were trying to handle the addresses in a better manner. So by default, Substrate provides uh, a different address format that is it's not the same Ethereum address format. And there are some certain other projects which have handled it. They've introduced unified addresses, but they have done in a not exactly in a very efficient manner. To get this done, they had to change substrate and various other libraries as well. So we're trying to do this without uh, ending up maintaining a huge library. So we had these problems with libraries with a legacy code base. We're trying to avoid that this time. So we're trying to do this ourselves. So that's when the Friendlier team, which is part of the Polkadot's original team, they have introduced some additional features, and we wanted to experiment those before uh, proceeding with our own implementation. The chances that we'll be able to adopt a lot from this implementation, and that's why we're trying to upgrade to a newer version of Substrate. But this upgrade has taken lots of effort because we are ending up in various uh, bugs, and essentially the code base is I would say, in a pretty bad shape at this point because of this attempt on the upgrade. So that's the second effort that's ongoing. The third effort is the test cases, where the test cases itself has we have introduced more uh, test coverage, and so the test case itself are more. And now we're trying to introduce more traceability by adding uh, to Sonar. So that effort is ongoing. And finally, we have also introduced the fourth developer. So we have now the entirety of the blockchain team on the Peerplays 2 R&D right now. So the last developer, Milo, is just getting started, and we're mostly looking into means to improve the QA and establish a QA process for the code base. So that's a major update for Peerplays 2, and the code base is available in GitLab if anybody wants to take a peek. Yeah, but at this point, some of the functionality are broken, like the solidity contracts will not get deployed, but if anybody is attempting ink smart contracts, they should work. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. We'll skip this because I already covered next. Yeah, together. So we were talking about together for the past few weeks. So the current status is that we had the kickoff last week with all the stakeholders and developers, and we have also identified a partner to work on the UX. So this team will be providing us with the interaction design, essentially the screens which our developers will implement. And we also started working on identifying various components. So this is going to be a React app, which is mostly be making use of GraphQL deployed on a PostgreSQL database, and for address management and storage of content, we'll be using Peerplays too. So this is and we're also working towards creating a detailed architecture based on this. The tech stack may vary. Obviously, this is an earlier understanding. This may vary a little bit, but roughly it's going to be a mobile first web app, which is like a web app which will be optimized for handheld devices, and uh, the, it's going to be a client server based architecture, rather essentially a database and a backend, uh, middleware, and a front end. And the blockchain use cases would be for storage of the content, so that we get immutability, and obviously for the login for the user management functionality. Yeah, so these are the major activities from the development team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robinson. Sean, documentation update, please.
Thank you very much. So for this week in our documentation, we have an Ethereum Suns install guide, which is now complete. I just have to merge that to our documentation site. And upcoming work on our risk register is continuing. For Together, our design team kickoff is today. In fact, right after this meeting. So that's coming along nicely. We do have wireframes, user stories, a work breakdown, and more. So work is starting to ramp up for Together. Also for peer view, we're working with GBC. We now have a read-only connection to GBC's database, so we will be able to help them create the view tables that are required for our peer view project. So thank you very much. That is my update for documentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Jonathan, collaboration updates, please.
Good day. These are the collaboration updates for Peerplays this past week. Within the standards category, we have been working with Government Blockchain Association. We did make more contributions to their decentralized ID work group, and that is going to be a supplement to the blockchain maturity model, which Government Blockchain Association puts out to various organizations, not just government, but companies as well, looking to implement blockchain. So similar to last week, the week before, we've are continuing to participate in that and making contributions as it relates to Peerplays. Within the community category, Avalon Meta, Scenes community platform, which Peerplays uses now at peerplays.zone, is we've been speaking with Avalon Meta team on numerous occasions in relation to looking at how Peerplays can more tightly align with how with the future of Scenes Plus as a platform. So with these calls, it was quite interesting, but it's still pending where it's all going to end up. But I'm anticipating this week we should get some closure on that, and there will be some interesting updates on that next week. So keep tuned for that. And in dedicated team updates, as Bobinson mentioned, we are working with a new team within the UX and brand category. They're called Link Up Studio. This is we endeavored to find a team all over the world. We looked all over the world, talked to lots of different organizations, and it boiled down to this team, which is based out of the Ukraine. Some of the factors that fed into this decision was primarily their work experience and some of the brands that they've done in the past. They are very familiar with text-based type of interfaces that work in mobile. And that was something that we thought would be very helpful as it relates to the AI aspect of the Together app. So that's what they're on board for and what they're working with us on now. So that is going to be excellent. And of course, from that team, they have 3 dedicated people that are working with us. And actually, right after this town hall, we'll be having our kickoff meeting with the rest of the team to get started on that. So exciting stuff. And those are the updates for this past week for Peerplays.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay, there was 2 questions that came in from the community. Robinson, if you can deploy smart contracts on Peerplays, how is memory and storage handled? If someone wants to deploy their .sol or Rust file using Peerplays, how would they go about it? Where can they do this? And are there any smart contracts already deployed that we can find on chain?
Okay. Yeah, I'll take this. So on this, the reference to memory and storage seems to be interesting. Probably that's they're wondering about these keywords from Solidity, which handles the memory or RAM and the storage for smart contracts. But yeah, I'm just guessing. In any case, what happens in the case of Peerplays 2 is that we have an EVM which is running inside Peerplays 2, or rather, it is running inside a WebAssembly environment. So what happens is this EVM will be given storage and RAM or memory by the WebAssembly VM. That's how how it is initially going to be started. Now, if somebody is deploying a Solidity smart contract, that will be going to the EVM. So just by deploying, what will happen is it will get stored somewhere, which will require disk storage. So that will be allotted by the EVM, and the EVM will in turn get this allotted by the WebAssembly VM. Now, if somebody is executing it, that is ideally when, I think when you're executing something, you will essentially need both storage and memory. That step onwards, it is going to behave exactly like an EVM would do. That is, the memory, if it is like a temporary storage, will be created for all the variables and function references and everything, which will be taken care by the EVM, and Solidity can then work based on it. And for the storage, again, the EVM will provide it. So I think it's going to be exactly same as how this is going to be done in Ethereum. That is, the EVM handles these aspects, storage and memory, and then these programs would run. Now, from within the programs, if somebody wants to handle both, uh, assuming it is Solidity, it has memory management and storage keywords. Those keywords can be used, and I think there is a keyword called delete, or I think it's delete, which can essentially freeing up the memory. So those typical operations can be used. So it's interesting to point out that this behavior is going to be exactly similar to how the Solidity programs will work within a uh, within an EVM implementation, which originates from the Ethereum implementation. So the particular EVM implementation that we use is 100% compliant with the original Ethereum specs. So the behavior is going to be exactly the same. So that's on the storage and memory. Now, I think I should also add that now, if somebody is trying to work with Ink or the Rust-based smart contracts, then that would happen at a different layer. That is, it would happen in the WebAssembly layer, and then in such a case, the WebAssembly VM will be handling memory, storage, etc. Again, in a similar fashion. Moving on to the second question. So right now, if somebody wants to attempt these smart contracts, they'll have to pick up the code base from our GitLab, which is gitlab.com pbsa peerplays 2 discovery. So the code base is available. We'll have to set up a testnet and deploy these contracts. Now, as to see whether there are any existing contracts. So right now, we don't have anything. We don't have the chain actively running. So we don't have any programs actively or any smart contracts actively deployed at this point. But we have been verifying the ability to deploy smart contracts. So what we have done is we have been following. So what we did is we had an option to either look at early dates of Ethereum and pick up some contracts and deploy, or look at any recent project which has proven the same. So what we have done is we were looking into this project called Moonbeam, which is recent, and they were using a very similar stack and the same EVM, but the way they have implemented the account mapping and everything is different. So what we've done is we have been following the methods that they followed, but only for verifying the smart contracts. And also, Moonbeam doesn't support Inc. smart contracts. It's only us who are providing support for both. So what we have done is for verification of smart contracts, we've been taking popular smart contracts like Uniswap and various NFT smart contracts, ERC20 smart contracts, etc. And we were deploying it. Another aspect that we wanted to verify was whether are we compatible with popular wallets. So that is also was tested. So we primarily verified with these popular Ethereum wallets, and then we were also verifying with some of the wallets from the Polkadot ecosystem, like Talisman, which is also seems to be working fine. So if the objective is to see whether the smart contracts are working, yes, we are verifying that, and in fact we are trying to automate the whole process so that along with our upgrades or changes, there is a chance that this feature may break. Like for example, right now the feature is broken, so we are trying to automate this whole process so that we will, along with every MR that we create, there'll be a bunch of smart contracts which we'll deploy and ensure that the functionality is available in all the stable builds that we are providing. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you, Robinson. Second question would be for Jonathan. Is there a plan for utility for PPY within Together? What plans are for utilizing the token?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, so Together will operate with pretty much any cryptocurrency as part of the feature rollouts past the MVP. Now, what is currently planned, though, is that it will start with using PPY as a base account unit. You might say it would act as a voucher or a coupon for actions within the dApp. We're looking into a gateway for online payments, like with traditional credit cards and things like that, which will then use PPY as a token of account for what they do in a given month. So it's expected that it's going to be a monthly kind of plan. But essentially, the more PPY they have, the more they will be able to do. And because of the way Together works, there will be a fair amount of back-end hard expenses relating to the AI capabilities that Together has, as well as some other API type service providers that will connect into the dApp. So this will require PPY to be exchanged for these features or operations. And we are still exploring different payment processor options. So how this all actually rolls out is still pending. Once we get clarity on this part, then we'll be able to solidify plans around how the things like the price of PPY is handled and what the process will look like. But right now, this is all actively being explored, and yeah, so that's pretty much where PPY is going to fit into Together.
Thank you. That concludes today's weekly town hall meeting, April 24th, 2023. Thank you all so much for joining us, and I hope you have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.